Keith Elliott's joined us, and Max Presnell in just a sec. Keith, you were watching from Flemington yesterday. Your thoughts on Viander Cross and naturalism?
Firstly, I thought Viander Cross was superb, Bruce. It was an excellent performance and very well ridden. We'll talk about that later. Naturalism, I must be honest, he disappointed me the way he just couldn't really get far ahead of Mahaya, who's a good filly. She was runner-up in our Oaks, but she struggled to beat an out-of-form filly in the Geelong Oaks Trial Stakes. So I was disappointed, frankly, with naturalism yesterday.
Max, welcome. I just wonder whether naturalism came a bit quickly for him. A 1400 followed by a 1900 and then a week later a 2000 metre race.
All of that, Bruce, but I don't want to sound like a political writer making excuses for why the GST got beaten last week. But they were factors that we had to consider before the race. I took them into consideration and still thought naturalism would win. The feeling in the betting ring before the race was that naturalism was jaded. We wouldn't see the best of naturalism. I don't think we did see the best of naturalism. Yet, I don't know at this stage whether the best of naturalism is better than Viander Cross. Viander Cross is an outstanding horse. I'm not going to wipe naturalism after one defeat. It's 2-all, but nevertheless, I've now got that nagging doubt.
The interesting thing was the betting, wasn't it? Because most people expected naturalism to at least open up favourite. But what was the feeling like at Flemington? Because there was amongst the people at Rosehill yesterday, there was this bit of an awe because suddenly Viander Cross was odds on and naturalism was out to 7-4.
Yes, I think, Bruce, in the final pre-race analysis, it was generally agreed that Viander Cross had that half a run, if there is such a thing, in this preparation ahead of naturalism. And as Max said, and I agree with what you said, Max, it stood him in stead yesterday, but I just got the same inkling or feeling as Max that Viander Cross does have the wood on naturalism.
Well, they're 2-all. Max J. Walker, he's copped a fair bit from the Sydney press particularly.
Oh yes, he was beaten in the Rosehill Guineas and the AJC Derby, but I think he vindicated himself yesterday. It was an easier race to ride in. There were fewer runners, and I'm not taking anything away from Walker when I say that. He rode an excellent weight for age race. He trailed Dittman. He was always, in my opinion, going to beat Dittman. A good ride. My congratulations. He's the winner today.
Okay, let's go to the race. The Ranvet Stakes, so much has been talked about it. We picked them up with about 1,000 metres to go, and the two protagonists are sitting on the pace.
Dr. Grace, held together, is in front by nearly 2 on Mahaya, a length and a half to Naturalism, ahead away Viander Cross on the outside, a length and a half to Rough Habit on the inside of Native Neptune, 2.5 to Telesto, and a head back last on the inside is Sub-Zero as they go past the 800 mark. Dr. Grace in front and led by a length on Mahaya, who's keeping in touch. Naturalism is now in a pocket on the inside of Viander Cross as they come to the 600 mark. Further back is Rough Habit, followed by Native Neptune, and then Telesto and Sub-Zero last as they near the corner. Dr. Grace with the inside running just led Mahaya. Naturalism is being pushed along by Dittman. Viander Cross on his outside, and they're well clear of Native Neptune and Rough Habit as they turn the corner. Mahaya immediately headed Dr. Grace. Viander Cross is now winding up. There's room between them for Naturalism. It's taking him a while to get going. The filly Mahaya still in front. Viander Cross on the outside coming at her. Naturalism on the fence, and Rough Habit is getting home well. Viander Cross goes for home. Viander Cross is drawing away from Mahaya and Naturalism. Well done, Jimmy Walker. Viander Cross beat Naturalism, and the score is now 2-all between the champions. Mahaya third.
Goes on to the BMW. I mean, Tokyo's a long time ago, but you just wonder whether Naturalism's been slightly disadvantaged in this campaign because of Tokyo and having to go on a little longer than Viander Cross.
John Wheeler also, Bruce, made the statement after the race that Viander Cross is the champion of his era. That's a very big call, Max.
Yes, a big call, but not one without justification. Bruce, I doubt whether, well, I hope that Naturalism doesn't go onto the BMW because I think he's had enough for the time being. I hope that Naturalism is put away and readied for the Cox Plate in the spring, the return bout. Who knows, we might be backing Naturalism to beat Viander Cross then. I won't be now.
Gee, the Sydney Turf Club wouldn't agree with you there, Max. I'd love to see him in the BMW. But one other final point on Viander Cross. He doesn't really accelerate like some of the great horses in the past, but he is just so strong at the end. There was a moment in the Australian Cup and again yesterday where there was a doubt over him. Maybe a furlong and a half from home, yet he just keeps coming.
Just for a second, it looked like Mahaya was going to hold him out, didn't it?
Shades of, well, yeah, you're laughing, Max.
Yeah, not the right second, Keith. The right second is right on the winning post, and while Viander Cross takes a bit of winding up, his final 400 was in something like 22-1. He was motoring, and he did give me the impression yesterday he had further scope for improvement.
Yeah, he might just be one of the best horses we've had for a long time.
BMW and Sydney Cup there at his
Yeah,
mercy,
and John Miller said he couldn't possibly compare him with our Poetic Prince. It wasn't fair to compare champions of different eras. You're dead right.
Still, he hasn't
John,
met,
don't compare them.
And he hasn't met Starve the Realm.
Not in Sydney, no. The Winfield Classic, that's a bit rough on me, Keith. The Winfield Classic yesterday, was Slight Chance unlucky, did you think, Max?
Oh, yes. Unlucky, was it what? Shane Dye's going through one of his tailing out syndromes. He did the same on Burst in the far lap, which we'll see later. The Burst ride, I thought, was quite inspired. Made up many lengths by sticking to the fence on the turn, but Slight Chance, it was run at a much slower tempo. He gave Skating about 12 lengths start. He took about 11 lengths off Skating. It was a brilliant final section by Skating. I don't know what Slight Chance has run, but I do think the stewards should have inspected Slight Chance after the race to see if she sprouted wings, because I'm sure that she must have to go that quick.
Well, it was a different day by the time we got to the Winfield Classic. Sunny day in Sydney had turned a bit sour for an hour. And let's have a look at Slight Chance sprouting wings, Skating the winner over Lovey and Terrare.
As they come to the 600 mark, Lovey the leader. Skating is second, Mamselle Perdue third, followed by Clocker. Then High Pack and Terrare from Azuro on the fence. Further back, Plume and Beatside. And then Flitter, My Brilliant Star. Slight Chance well back behind a big bunch of horses turning the corner. Into the straight, Lovey the leader. Skating is coming after it quickly. Skating exploded to the front at the 300 mark. In third place, Mamselle Perdue, followed by Clocker. Then Azuro and Terrare. At the 200, Skating the leader. Lovey is coming back on the inside. Skating and Lovey. Skating's about a neck in front. Lovey is hanging on tenaciously, but Skating is too good now and is drawing away in the last bit and scores well. Skating beat Lovey. Third either Terrare. I think Terrare third, a breath in front of Slight Chance.
Skating the inform horses, won at Group 3, 2 and 1 now this time in. Francis Tressady form held up with Lovey and also Terrare. Slight Chance, is she running in the Oaks? Max, I just wonder if she is. Was that a better trial than Mahaya? How do you line that up? 1500 v 2000.
Different sort of trials, but certainly different tempos. They're both outstanding fillies. I'm not going to get on either one at this stage. I'll wait for the Oaks to get a little bit closer, but I'll certainly be watching Slight Chance in anything she runs in the near future, because the point, Bruce, was that a good horse like Skating was able to jog in front with Lovey. There was no pressure on them, there was no pace up front, yet Slight Chance was right out the back door, and it was a phenomenal run. Just sometimes when they run that well, you wonder whether they can reproduce it again, but I'll take that risk.
Max, with the while you're watching the wing sprouting of Slight Chance, I hope you didn't miss the performance of Terrare, who was never on the track from her wide alley.
Yeah, but up closer, Keith, as I said, in a dawdling run race, and Rosehill these days, you can cover a little ground. I'm not saying she was better off than Skating, but nevertheless, I still think the run in the race by lengths come from Slight Chance.
Let's go to the far lap. Captive Edition breaking through for a win in Australia.
To the turn in the far lap stakes. Dashing Planet the leader over Ken Fair, Bundy Lad. Captive Edition is running fourth, followed by Play or Pay, and then Big Arnold, and right behind those My Sparkling Star. Hula Strike is about to be switched into the clear, but he's still well back and at the moment not doing enough, although he's starting to hit top gear. Burst has run up on the fence behind a bunch of leaders. At the 200 mark, it's Bundy Lad, Captive Edition, Ken Fair, Dashing Planet, Burst into the clear now, followed by Hula Strike, Bundy Lad and Captive Edition. Captive Edition just the leader. Bundy Lad is driving near the post, but Captive Edition, I think, has just lasted to beat Bundy Lad, and Burst an enormous third.
But you were right, Max. It did save a lot of ground in the straight burst. A big run, not quite as impressive as Slight Chance. Hula Strike, ridiculous odds at about 13 to 8, and first start at Rose Hill. Let's have a look at the Todman Slipper. Pretty impressive, this one. Justice Prevails. Max, we'll chat over this. Social Path leading. Justice Prevails didn't look to be travelling all that well in the run. Keltrees was about to challenge, and the times were very interesting in this race.
Yes, Bruce, they went very fast up front, and that's why the run of Keltrees was probably a little bit better than it appears, because Keltrees is up there hacking it. Now, Justice Prevails is a back marker, is getting to the line very well, but didn't expend a lot of energy early. Still, it was a most impressive slipper performance, but I just wonder, Justice Prevails must be on top of the ground to show his best form. Certainly if he gets those conditions, he's going to be hard to beat. Interestingly, Johnny Hawkes hasn't decided on a jockey yet. Jim Cassidy or Michael Evans, an apprentice. I do think those that have backed Justice Prevails will hope that Hawkes goes for the experience.
With Cassidy there.
Damien Oliver was going to say, Bruce said that Caltrice is a chaser, not a leader. He said he'd ride Caltrice in the slipper after that run, but things were to come about 40 minutes later.
That's right, because it's been muddled for him with Star of Nouvelle's victory. Just one quick one, Keith, on Justice Prevails. That bad run at Flemington, if you took that away, then he's probably the obvious slipper favourite.
Yes, I agree, Bruce. He stormed home for third placing in the Blue Diamond.
Unsuitable ground.
Yes, and that form held up yesterday at Rose Hill, didn't it? Well, pretty well. The Quinella horses were placed.
Okay, let's go now to the Riesling slipper trial, and this was a very impressive Star of Nouvelle, sitting in behind the leaders. Gem of the West had gone very hard with Rose's image outside of it. Now, there's no problem here, Keith, with Lady Jackie O. She was sitting fourth from the back, but at this stage I wasn't too disappointed with her because we know what sort of a finishing run she can put in.
That's her in the brown and yellow colours.
Just got a buffeting there, and that might have made some difference.
Yeah, it was only a bit of a slight squeeze, Bruce. She's running on now. Heaps of time to run down the leader. I thought she had a chance, although the trainer, John Sadler, did warn that she hadn't raced for 3 weeks and might have been a smidgen underdone yesterday.
Well, she ran a similar race, I guess, at Sandown when she was beaten and bounced back to win a prelude of the Blue Diamond. I mean, the query there is, A, how good is Star of Nouvelle? Oliver's got to make a choice. And B, Lady Jackie O did enough yesterday not to wipe her out of the slipper, yet you don't really have that confidence from yesterday.
Exactly. We were predicting more clarity in the slipper picture after yesterday's racing, but it only clouded, didn't it?
It did. We look at the market and we've got a different favourite again, or equal favourites. Lady Jackie O, Justice Prevails. Bint Masco apparently had suffered from a seasonal complaint. Danger runs at Kembla Grange during the week. We've probably had a record number of favourites at this stage, but every horse at the top has got a black mark next to its name, and often in the slipper we get 3 or 4 horses going in unbeaten.
Yes.
We pulled the plug on Max.
Intriguing performance.
We pulled the plug on Max, by the way. He's gone.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
You must have said something to him. He's just stormed out. No, he hasn't really. We just unfortunately couldn't keep in contact with him. So did he upset you? You didn't do anything, did you?
No, I think he was a little bit miffed, Bruce. He had an acceptance speech written out for Sports Luggage during the week and never got to read it.
Oh, right, okay, he'll win it next year. Thanks for your time, and Flemington in 1 second.
Okay, well, young Pirate, the New Zealander, won the Duke of Norfolk's. What a Nuisance did that in 84 and won the Melbourne Cup in 85. I don't know whether young Pirate did, but he's trained behind a motorbike, and they knew he'd win because he hit 60 k's during the week.
Oh, he did he? Hope you don't in your car. We'll take a break, Motorsport, after this. Who could sit there and be entertained by this rubbish? Oh, I couldn't. In a million years. Fair dinkum, what a boring afternoon would be. Blokes dressed up as if a million years ago. Ben Hur, eat your heart out. Well, there we go. Well, Maury Plant's going to join us after this with Melinda Gainsford. I'm sure they wouldn't take part in anything like that.